I don't even know how to start typing this. My hands are shaking so bad that I've had to correct almost every third word. I feel like I'm going to vomit. I'm sitting in my car, parked 3 blocks away from my own house, just staring at the steering wheel because I literally cannot bring myself to walk through the front door. If you had asked me 48 hours ago, I would have told you that I was the luckiest man on the planet. I would have told you that my wife, Sarah, was my soulmate. We've been together for 6 years, married for 3. We were that couple. You know the type. The ones who finish each other's sentences. The ones who never fight in public. The ones all our friends call goals. Goals. God, what a joke. Let me give you some background so you understand the gravity of the nuclear bomb that just detonated in my life. Sarah comes from a very tight-knit family. We do Sunday dinners at her parents' house every single week. Her older brother Mike is the golden child. You know the type. Played quarterback in high school, successful sales job, charming smile, always the loudest guy in the room. Mike is married to Emily. Emily is a saint. She's quiet, kind, and honestly, probably too good for Mike even before all this. Sarah and Mike have always been close. Like, weirdly close? I never thought much of it. I thought it was just sibling bonding. They have inside jokes. They text a lot. I'm an only child, so I figured, hey, this must be what having a sibling is like. I was so incredibly stupid. So, here is how my life fell apart. It happened on a Tuesday. Mundane, right? Sarah told me she had a networking mixer for her marketing firm. She said it was going to run late, and she'd probably just crash at her friend Jessica's apartment in the city because she didn't want to Uber home drunk. I trusted her. I trusted her completely. I told her, have fun, babe. Be safe. Text me when you get there. That night, around 9 p.m., I decided to do some digital housekeeping. Sarah and I share an iCloud account for our photos so we can easily share vacation pics. But she also has her own private cloud for work stuff, or so she says. I grabbed her old iPad, the one she keeps in the living room for recipes, because I wanted to find a specific photo of us from our honeymoon to use for a throwback post on Instagram. When I unlocked the iPad, I saw a notification. iCloud storage full. Last sync, 8:47 p.m. I thought that was weird. If she was at a networking mixer, she wouldn't be syncing massive amounts of data. I clicked the Photos app. It hadn't just synced our shared album. Because she hadn't logged out of her personal Apple ID on the iPad, it had synced her recently deleted folder from her iPhone. My heart, it just stopped. The first photo was blurry, just a shot of 2 drinks on a wooden table. Not a networking event. It looked like a dive bar. I swiped. The next photo was a selfie, but it was cut off. Just her shoulder, her hair messy, and a hand. A man's hand resting on her collarbone. I told myself, okay, maybe it's a coworker. Maybe she's drunk and being too friendly. This is bad, but maybe it's not the end. Then I swiped again. The third photo. Oh God. The third photo was taken in a mirror. It was in a hotel room. I could tell by the generic art on the wall and the folded towels. Sarah was in the foreground, wearing just her lace bra, the one I bought her for our anniversary. But she wasn't looking at the camera. She was looking back at the bed. There was a man lying there, face down into the pillow, asleep, or maybe passed out. The sheet was pulled up to his waist. At first, I didn't recognize him, just a generic back. But his arm was hanging off the side of the bed, and right there on the forearm was a tattoo. It's a very specific tattoo, a geometric lion with blue eyes. I paid for that tattoo! 3 years ago, for Mike's birthday, Sarah asked me to chip in because he was short on cash and he wanted this masterpiece. I sat in the shop with him while he got it. I watched the artist shade those blue eyes. I stared at that iPad screen until my eyes burned. I zoomed in. I zoomed out. I tried to find any other explanation. Maybe it's a different guy with the same tattoo? But then, I saw the watch on the nightstand. The gold Tag Heuer watch that our father-in-law gave Mike when he got promoted. It's Mike. My wife is sleeping with her brother. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. Violently. I felt like my entire reality was melting. Incest? Infidelity? Betrayal? It was too much. It's like finding out your life is a horror movie. I went back to the iPad. I needed to be sure. I checked the timestamps. 8:30 p.m. She wasn't at a mixer. She wasn't at Jessica's. She was in a hotel room, 40 minutes away, banging her own brother. I didn't call her. I didn't text her. I took my phone and I took photos of the iPad screen. Then, I airdropped the photos from the iPad to my secure folder. Then, and this is important, I screen recorded scrolling through the gallery so she couldn't claim Photoshop. After I secured the evidence, I put the iPad back exactly where it was. She came home the next morning, Wednesday. She walked in, looking a little hungover, wearing the same dress. She kissed me on the cheek. She said, "Hey, babe." "Sorry I didn't text. The service was terrible at the bar. Jessica says hi." She smelled like hotel soap and deception. I looked her right in the eyes. I looked at the woman I promised to die for, and all I could see was her in that mirror looking at him. I said, "That's okay. I fell asleep early anyway." I lied. I've been acting normal for 2 days now. It is the hardest thing I have ever done. Every time she touches me, I want to scream. But I can't blow this up yet. Not until I talk to a lawyer. And not until I figure out what to do about Emily. Emily. God. Emily is currently 7 months pregnant with their second child. If I drop this bomb, I destroy her life too. I destroy the kids' lives. But how can I not? Sarah keeps asking me what's wrong. She says I seem distant. She has no idea. I'm meeting a divorce attorney in an hour. I'm currently sitting in my car trying to stop shaking long enough to drive. I feel like I'm going crazy. Is this real? Has anyone ever dealt with this? I feel like I'm in the middle of a nightmare and I can't wake up. I have to go. She's tracking my location on Find My Friends, and I told her I was going to the hardware store. I need to make this quick. Time passed since last post. 4 days. I haven't slept more than 2 hours a night since Tuesday. Every time I close my eyes, I see that photo. The lion tattoo. The Tag Heuer watch. The sheer comfortability of it. I'm living in a house of cards that is currently on fire, and I'm just sitting on the couch watching TV like everything is fine. The morning after I posted the original thread, I met with the lawyer. Let's call him Mr. Stone. He's a shark. Expensive suit, mahogany desk, eyes that looked like they've seen every sin humanity has to offer. I didn't want to show him the photos. I felt shameful, dirty, like I was the one who did something wrong. When I slid my phone across the desk and showed him the screen recording of the iPad, his eyebrows didn't even twitch. He said, "Mr. OP, in the state of infidelity is a factor in alimony, but incest, well, that's a nuclear option. Are you sure you want to scorch the earth?" I told him I want to burn the earth, salt the fields, and piss on the ashes. He told me to sit tight, to not leave the house yet. If I leave, it looks like abandonment. He told me to secure 50% of our joint savings immediately, moving it to a separate account, which is legal here. Then he looked at me and said the hardest thing I've had to hear. "You need to get tested. For everything. Today." Walking into a clinic to get a full panel STI test while your wife is texting you, "What do you want for dinner?" heart emoji is a special kind of hell. But I needed more than just the photos. The photos prove a physical affair. I needed to know the timeline. I needed to know if this was a drunken mistake or a lifestyle. Friday night, Sarah took a shower. She usually takes long showers, 30, 40 minutes. She leaves her phone on the nightstand. She's never been protective of it because, frankly, she thinks I'm an idiot who trusts her blindly. And I was, until Tuesday. My hands were sweating so much I had to wipe them on my jeans before I could type in her passcode. October 14th, 16. Our wedding anniversary. The irony almost made me laugh out loud. I didn't go to texts first. I went to the hidden folder in her photos. Empty. Then I went to WhatsApp. Nothing. Then I went to iMessage. I searched for Mike. Just normal stuff. Mom wants to know if you're coming Sunday. Did you see the game? I paused. Was I crazy? Did I imagine the hotel room? Then I remembered. Mike is a sales guy. He uses Signal for his clients. I opened Signal. It was Face ID locked. My heart sank. I couldn't get in. But then, ding! The phone vibrated in my hand. A notification from Signal popped up on the lock screen. She hadn't turned off message previews. Sender, M. The message read, "Does he suspect anything? You were weird on the phone today." My blood ran cold. I stared at the screen. I needed to see the history. I needed that code. I looked at the bathroom door. I could hear the water running. I know Sarah. She uses the same 3 codes for everything. Her debit PIN, her phone unlock, and the garage door code. I tried the garage code, 4489. It unlocked. I wish it hadn't. I scrolled back. Years, you guys. It wasn't just the hotel. There were messages from last Christmas. While I was downstairs opening presents with her parents, she was texting him from the upstairs bathroom. I read things that made my stomach turn. I'm not going to repeat the sexual stuff. It's too vile. But the emotional stuff? That hurt worse. I wish I didn't have to go home to him. He's so boring compared to you. Remember when we were teenagers? We said we'd run away. We still can. He's just a placeholder, Mike. You know you're the only man I've ever actually loved. A placeholder. 6 years of my life. The house we bought. The dog we adopted. The miscarriage we cried over together 2 years ago. All of it. I was just a placeholder until she could figure out how to be with her brother. I took photos of everything with my own phone. Hundreds of photos. I have the entire chat history exported. I put her phone back exactly 3 seconds before the water stopped running. When she walked out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, steam rising off her skin, she looked beautiful. And I looked at her and felt absolutely nothing but a cold, black hatred. But wait, it gets better. Yesterday was Sunday. Sunday dinner. Sarah insisted we go. She said, "Mom's making her pot roast. You love her pot roast." I told her I had a migraine. She guilt-tripped me. "Mike and Emily are going to be there. You haven't seen Emily in weeks." Emily. I decided to go. Not for the pot roast, but for Emily. I needed to see the dynamic in person. I needed to see if I was blind or if they were just sociopaths. The house was warm, smelled like rosemary and garlic. Sarah's dad, Jim, handed me a beer as soon as I walked in. He's a good man. He shook my hand, slapped my back. "How's work, son?" he asked. I wanted to scream, "Your son is sleeping with your daughter." Instead, I took a sip of the beer and said, "Work is killer, Jim. Just killer." Then Mike walked in. He had his arm around Emily. Emily looks tired. She's 7 months pregnant. Her ankles are swollen. She's waddling a bit. She looked exhausted but happy. Mike looked like $1,000,000. He saw me and grinned, that wide sales guy grin. "Oh, P, my man! Good to see ya!" He reached out to shake my hand. It took every ounce of self-control I possess not to smash the beer bottle across his face. I took his hand. It felt slimy. I looked at his forearm. He was wearing a long-sleeved shirt rolled up just slightly. I could see the bottom edge of the lion tattoo. I squeezed his hand. Hard. Harder than necessary. He flinched, pulling back, looking confused. "Strong grip there, buddy," he laughed nervously. We sat down for dinner. I sat across from Mike. Sarah sat next to me. Emily was next to Mike. I watched them. I watched them like a hawk. And once you know, you can't unsee it. They weren't obvious. They didn't play footsie. It was the eyes. Every time Mike told a joke, he didn't look at his wife. He looked at Sarah. Every time Sarah laughed, she leaned forward, directing her body toward him. At one point, Emily dropped her napkin. As she bent down to get it, Mike reached for the salt. His hand brushed Sarah's hand on the table. It wasn't an accident. His pinky finger hooked around hers for a split second. A caress. Right in front of me. Right in front of his pregnant wife. Right in front of their parents. I dropped my fork on the plate. It made a loud clatter. Everyone stopped eating and looked at me. "You okay, hun?" Sarah asked, putting her hand on my thigh. Her touch felt like a branding iron. "I'm fine," I said. My voice sounded robotic. "Just lost my appetite." Mike stared at me. His eyes narrowed slightly. He's a narcissist, but he's not stupid. He sensed the shift. He sensed the predator in the room, and for the first time, he realized it might be me. "You've been awful quiet tonight, OP," Mike said, taking a bite of roast. "Trouble in paradise?" I looked him dead in the eyes. I didn't blink. I said, "Actually, Mike, I've been doing a lot of reading lately, learning some really interesting things about family history, genealogy, genetics." Sarah froze. Her hand stopped moving on my leg. Mike's chew slowed down. "Is that so?" Mike asked. "Yeah," I said, leaning forward. "It's amazing what you can find when you really start digging. Secrets don't stay buried forever, right?" The table went silent. The air was so thick you could choke on it. Emily broke the tension. "Oh, speaking of genealogy, Mom, did you find that old photo album?" The moment passed, but the message was delivered. We left 20 minutes later. I told Sarah my migraine was back. The car ride home was silent. She asked me twice, "Is everything okay?" And, "Why were you weird with Mike?" I told her I was just tired. We're home now. She's asleep in the bedroom. I'm in the guest room because of my headache. I have the photos. I have the texts. I have the timeline. And tomorrow? Tomorrow is D-Day. I can't keep this inside anymore. I was going to wait for the lawyers to draft papers, but I can't let Emily go another day living a lie. I'm not just going to divorce Sarah. I'm going to destroy the fantasy they've built. I texted Emily an hour ago. "Hey, Em, I have something really important regarding the baby shower surprise. Can I stop by tomorrow morning while Mike is at work? Sarah doesn't know, so keep it hush-hush." She replied, "Sure, Mike leaves at 8. Come by around 9. God forgive me for what I'm about to do to that poor woman. Time passed since last update. 3 weeks. I'm sitting in a rental apartment. I couldn't stay in the house. Every corner of that place smells like her, like lies, like them. It has been 21 days since I posted last, but it feels like 20 years. I honestly didn't think I'd survive the week. You guys wanted an update? You wanted to know if I blew up their lives? Oh, I didn't just blow it up. I dropped the Tsar Bomba right in the living room. Let's go back to that Monday morning. I woke up at 6 a.m. I watched Sarah sleep. She looked so peaceful, so innocent. It made my skin crawl. I packed a bag quietly, just the essentials, and put it in my trunk. I knew I wasn't coming back. Mike leaves for work at 8 a.m. sharp. I waited down the street in my car until I saw his white BMW pull out of the driveway. Then I drove to Emily's. My hands were shaking so bad on the steering wheel I could barely grip it. I had a manila folder on the passenger seat. Inside were the printed screenshots, the photos from the hotel, the timeline, and the Signal chat logs. I felt like an executioner walking to the gallows. But instead of a criminal, I was about to execute the happiness of a pregnant woman. I rang the doorbell. Emily answered. She was wearing oversized sweatpants and a messy bun. She looked tired, but she smiled when she saw me. "Oh, P, you're early. Come in, come in. I put on a pot of coffee." She led me to the kitchen. There were baby things everywhere. A half-assembled stroller in the hallway, a stack of onesies on the counter. "So," she said, pouring me a mug, "what's this big surprise for the baby shower? Mike is going to be so jealous he missed this." Hearing his name made my jaw clench. "Emily," I said. I didn't touch the coffee. "We need to sit down. Now." She stopped. The smile faded instantly. She saw my face. She saw the bag under my eyes. "Is it Sarah?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Is she okay? Was there an accident?" "No," I said. "Sarah is fine. Physically." We sat at the kitchen island. I put the folder on the marble countertop. "Emily, what I am about to tell you is going to change everything. I need you to promise me you will breathe. For the baby." She just stared at the folder. She knew. Somewhere, deep down, she knew this wasn't about a baby shower. I opened it. I didn't start with the texts. I started with the hotel photo, the one with the tattoo. "Do you recognize this room?" I asked. She looked. She squinted. "That looks like a hotel? Is that Sarah?" "Look at the bed, Emily." She leaned in. She saw the arm. She saw the blue-eyed lion. She gasped, a sharp, wet intake of breath. "That's Mike's arm," she whispered. She looked up at me, confused. Why is Mike in a hotel room with Sarah? Was this when his car broke down last month? Denial. It's a powerful drug. "No, Emily," I said gently. "Swipe to the next page." The next page was the text log, the placeholder comment, the graphic descriptions of what they did in that room, the "I love you" messages that were far, far beyond sibling love. I watched her read. I watched the color drain from her face until she was gray. Her hands started to shake, rattling the paper. "No," she whimpered. "No, no, no. They're brother and sister. This is sick. This is fake. OP, this is a sick joke." "It's not a joke, Em. I checked the timestamps. I checked the bank statements. I checked the location history. It's been going on for years." Then she screamed. "Ah!" It wasn't a scream of anger. It was a scream of pure animalistic pain. She doubled over, clutching her stomach. "The baby," she gasped. I panicked. I jumped up. "Emily, breathe." That's when the front door slammed open. "What the fuck are you doing here?" It was Mike. He had a Ring doorbell. He saw me enter. He must have known I was up to something after my comments at dinner. He had raced home. He stormed into the kitchen, his face red, his eyes wild. He saw Emily hunched over. He saw the folder on the counter. He didn't run to his wife. He lunged for the folder. He grabbed the papers and tried to rip them. "You piece of shit!" he screamed at me. "You come into my house? You upset my wife? Get out! Get the fuck out!" I didn't move. I stood my ground. "She knows, Mike," I said, my voice surprisingly calm. "She knows you're banging your sister. She knows you're a monster." Mike froze. He looked at Emily. Emily looked up. Her eyes were bloodshot, filled with tears and a hatred so pure it could burn a hole through steel. "Get away from me," she hissed. "Babe, listen," Mike started, putting on his sales guy voice. "He's lying. He's crazy. He's been jealous of our family for years." "I saw the tattoo, Mike!" Emily shrieked. She grabbed a ceramic mug from the counter and hurled it at him. It missed his head by an inch and shattered against the fridge. "I saw the texts. You called me a boring cow. You called our marriage a sham." Mike's phone started ringing. It was Sarah. "Don't answer that," I warned.
He answered it.
"Sarah, get over here now. OP is losing his mind. He's telling Emily crazy lies." He was gaslighting them both in real time. It was sociopathic. Sarah arrived 10 minutes later. She must have been nearby. She walked in, saw the shattered mug, saw Emily crying on the floor, saw me standing like a sentinel. "What is going on?" she asked, playing the innocent victim. I walked up to her. I held up my phone with the screen recording of her iPad. "Game over, Sarah. I saw the iPad. I saw the deleted folder. I know everything." She turned pale. She looked at Mike. And in that look, that terrified, guilty exchange of glances, Emily got the final confirmation she needed. "Get out," Emily said. Her voice was low, dangerous. "Em, please," Sarah started, crying fake tears. "It's not what you think. We were just—" "Get out!" Emily screamed, struggling to stand up. "Get out of my house, you incestuous freaks!" Mike snapped. He realized he couldn't talk his way out of this. He looked at me with pure venom. "You ruined my life," he snarled. He threw a punch. It connected with my jaw. I stumbled back, tasting blood. But I didn't fight back. I didn't need to. Because Emily had already called 911 on her Apple Watch when he started screaming. The police arrived within 5 minutes. They walked into a chaotic scene. A pregnant woman hyperventilating, broken ceramics, me bleeding from the mouth, and Mike screaming that I was trespassing. The officers separated us. I told them calmly, "I am not trespassing. I was invited in. He assaulted me. I want to press charges." They handcuffed Mike. He was screaming as they dragged him out. "She's my sister. We love each other. You don't understand." Yeah, he actually yelled that. In front of the cops. In front of the neighbors who had gathered on the lawn. Then Emily collapsed. The stress was too much. She started clutching her belly, moaning in pain. The paramedics rushed in. They loaded her onto a stretcher. "Is anyone riding with her?" the paramedic asked. Sarah stepped forward. "I will. I'm her sister-in-law." "No!" Emily screamed from the stretcher. "Don't let her near me. Don't let her near my baby." I stepped in. "I'll go. I'm the family friend." I rode in the ambulance with her. She held my hands so tight I thought she'd break my fingers. "Promise me," she whispered. "Promise me you'll get the locks changed." That was 3 weeks ago. Here is the fallout. Mike. He was charged with assault. He posted bail the next day. He is currently staying at his parents' house. Yes, the parents know now. They are in complete denial. They think I photoshopped the pictures. They think I manipulated Emily. They have cut me off completely. Sarah. I served her divorce papers the day after the incident. She is also staying at her parents'. She has sent me over 400 text messages, begging, threatening suicide, blaming me, calling me cruel for exposing them. I haven't replied to a single one. Emily. She went into preterm labor, but the doctors managed to stop it. She is on strict bed rest for the remainder of the pregnancy. Her mother flew in from out of state and is staying with her. Emily has filed for divorce and has a temporary restraining order against Mike. The worst part? I ran into Sarah's dad, Jim, at the bank yesterday while I was sorting out the joint accounts. He looked at me with disgust. "You should have kept your mouth shut," he spat. "Family business stays in the family. You destroyed 2 marriages because you were insecure." Insecure? Insecure? His son and daughter are sleeping together and I'm the villain for pointing it out? It made me realize that the rot runs deep in that family. Maybe they always knew. Maybe they just looked the other way. I'm pressing charges against Mike for the assault to the fullest extent of the law. I'm testifying for Emily in her divorce hearing to ensure she gets full custody. I am burning their world down, brick by brick. The next time you hear from me, the divorce will be final, and hopefully, Mike will be in prison. Stay tuned. Time passed since last update. 11 months. I started smoking again. I quit 5 years ago for Sarah because she said she hated the smell. Now I smoke a pack a week just to have an excuse to stand outside and scream into the void without scaring my neighbors. It has been almost a year since I found the photos on the iPad. A year since I watched my life, and Emily's life, turn into a grotesque horror movie. I know a lot of you have been messaging me, asking for the ending. You want to know if justice was served. You want to know if the bad guys went to jail and the good guys rode off into the sunset. Life isn't a movie. It's a slow, grinding legal war of attrition. But I do have an ending for you. It's not happy, but it's final. Let's start with the legal aspect, because that's what consumed my life for the last 8 months. My divorce from Sarah was finalized last Tuesday. I am a free man. But getting there was hell. Remember Sarah's parents? Jim and Saint Linda? They funded Sarah's legal defense. They hired a boutique firm known for high-conflict divorces. Their strategy was DARVO, deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. In the deposition, Sarah's lawyer actually tried to claim that I was the one who drove her to her brother's arms because of my emotional neglect. They tried to claim that my reaction at the dinner table was abusive and that I had a history of paranoia. Sitting across from her in mediation, it was surreal. She wore a modest dress. She cried on cue. She looked at me with those big, teary eyes and whispered, "I still love you, you know. We can fix this." I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Sarah, you slept with your brother while I was picking out tile for our bathroom. There is no we. There is just you, your sickness, and the lawyers." Her face instantly went blank. Cold. The mask slipped. She leaned across the table. Her lawyer tried to grab her arm to stop her, and she hissed, "You were never enough. You were just normal. Mike and I are soulmates. You wouldn't understand a bond like that." Soulmates. She called her brother her soulmate in a legal mediation. Even her lawyer looked like he wanted to throw up. I got the house, not because I wanted it. I sold it immediately, but because I had the texts. In my state, adultery affects asset division. The judge was horrified. I think the incest factor made everyone in that courtroom want to get the case over with as fast as possible. Now, let's talk about Mike. The assault charge stuck. Because there were witnesses, Emily, neighbors, and a police report, he couldn't wiggle out of it completely. He took a plea deal to avoid a felony trial. He pleaded guilty to simple assault and battery. He got 18 months of probation, anger management classes, and a permanent criminal record. It's a slap on the wrist, realistically, but the real punishment wasn't the law. It was the social suicide. We live in a mid-sized city. News travels. The police report wasn't sealed because it was an adult criminal case. Man assaults brother-in-law after incest allegations. Someone found it. Someone posted it on a local community Facebook page. It went viral locally. Mike lost his sales job within 48 hours. No one wants a rep who bangs his sister and punches people. He is pariah. And Emily. God, Emily. She is the strongest woman I have ever met. She gave birth 4 months ago. A baby girl. Let's call her Lily. I was at the hospital. Not in the room, her mom was there, but I sat in the waiting room for 12 hours. When I heard that baby cry, I wept. There was a fear, a dark, unspoken fear that there might be genetic issues. We all knew Mike and Sarah weren't related that way. Sarah and Mike are siblings, but Emily and Mike aren't related, so the baby is genetically fine. But the stigma? It hangs over that child. The custody battle was the real war. Mike wanted 50-50 custody. He walked into family court wearing a suit his daddy bought him, claiming he was a loving father and that Emily was mentally unstable because of the stress he caused. But Emily's lawyer was a shark. We introduced the evidence. The texts where Mike called his marriage a sham. The texts where he discussed leaving Emily and the unborn baby to run away with Sarah. And then, the pièce de résistance. We subpoenaed the parents' financial records during the discovery phase of Mike's support hearing. This is the part that haunts me. We found payments. Regular payments from Jim, the dad, to a private wellness center, rehab/therapy boarding school, starting when Mike was 16 and Sarah was 14. We dug deeper. We found emails between the parents from 15 years ago. Subject: the incident. Email body: we have to separate them, Jim. If anyone finds out what they were doing in the basement, Mike's football scholarship is gone. We send Sarah to the girls' school in Vermont. We tell everyone it's for her anxiety. We bury this. They knew. They always knew. Since they were teenagers. The parents knew their children had an incestuous relationship, and instead of getting them serious psychological help, they separated them to protect the family image. They let Mike marry Emily. They let me marry Sarah. They watched us walk down the aisle, knowing we were just cover stories, knowing we were human shields for their children's perversion. When this came out in court, the judge looked at Jim and Linda like they were roaches. Emily got full legal and physical custody. Mike gets supervised visitation twice a month at a secure center. He is not allowed to bring any third parties, Sarah, to the visits. If he violates it, he goes to jail. So, where are they now? Mike and Sarah left the state. They live in a town 3 states away. I know this because I still get notifications from the shared Netflix account Sarah forgot to log out of. I should change the password, but I like seeing where they are logging in from. It's my petty revenge. They are living together, just the 2 of them, in a small apartment. I assume they are finally living the love story they always wanted, without us placeholders in the way. It makes my skin crawl to think about it. As for me, I'm doing okay. Better than okay, actually. I'm in therapy twice a week. I've realized that I ignored a lot of red flags because I wanted to be loved. I'm learning to forgive myself for that. And Emily, we're close. Not romantic. Let me be clear, not romantic. We are trauma-bonded friends. I go over there on Sundays. Not for Sunday dinner, we don't do that anymore. I go over to help fix things around the house. I hold baby Lily while Emily showers or naps. Last week, I was rocking Lily to sleep. She has Emily's eyes. Thank God she has Emily's eyes. Emily walked in, looking exhausted but peaceful. She handed me a beer. "We made it," she said. "Yeah," I said. "We survived." I ran into Jim at the grocery store one last time before I moved to my new apartment. He looked old, defeated. The perfect family mask was gone. He saw me and turned his cart down the other aisle to avoid me. I didn't chase him. I didn't yell. I just watched him run away. Because that's what they do. They run from the truth. But the truth has a funny way of catching up. I'm OP. I'm 30 years old now. I'm divorced. I have trust issues that will probably last a lifetime. But for the first time in 6 years, I'm living a life that is actually mine. And that feels pretty damn good. Thanks for listening, Reddit. Signing off.